Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Lauren Walker, the Manager of Athlete Development here at USA Volleyball, and today we're going to talk about athlete motivation. Why talk about athlete motivation? Aren't we always motivated to play our sport because we enjoy it? While we would hope the answer to that question is yes, in reality we can see several aspects of the volleyball environment cause fluctuations in our motivation. We go through tough training periods. We may feel a dip in motivation after a loss or a bad game. So it's important to acknowledge that it's okay for your motivation to shift over time and that it isn't a condemnation of your ability or your engagement in volleyball long term. So let's talk about that. I want you to imagine the following players and think about what might be different in their motivation or the way that you would view their motivation if you were one of their teammates. Meet Jennifer. She's not very motivated. She often skips practices or shows up late. When she does come to practice, she doesn't seem interested in getting better. During games, she looks like she doesn't care, and teammates have indicated they're frustrated with her lack of effort. Not only that, but the way she's acting is making them care less about the way that they play. Even the coach has a hard time getting Jennifer excited about playing. She is one of the more skilled players on the team, but her lack of effort is really hard to deal with from her teammates and her coach's perspective. Now let's talk about Max. He's super motivated and shows up to every game and practice ready to play hard. Max shows up early and stays late to work on his skills. His energy and excitement rubs off on his teammates, and they feel pumped up to play whenever they're around him. Everyone on the team looks up to Max because of his positive attitude and his willingness to push himself and others. The coach trusts him to lead by example and even gives him more responsibility on the team. Max's motivation helps him play his best, and it brings the team together. As athletes, we've all played with both a Jennifer and a Max. We might have been both a Jennifer and a Max at different points in time. You can see from these examples the difference not only is in their performance, but how they influence their teammates and their coaches. Let's dive into what motivation is all about, why it's important, and how you can make sure that you're always bringing a high level of effort to the court. Motivation is sometimes hard to define, but we usually know what it looks like in practice and in games. We could easily see that Jennifer was not motivated by how she acted, and also clearly see that Max was motivated by how he was acting. When we think of motivation, we can think of it as having two distinct parts: what you choose to do and how hard you work once you choose to do it. So let's explore those a bit more. The first aspect of motivation is what you choose to do. Think about motivation as when you have two different choices and you're showing the motivation by which one of those you choose. You could either go to volleyball practice or hang out with your friends. If you choose to go to volleyball practice, you're showing that you're motivated more to do that than to hang out with your friends, at least at that given time. Some questions that can get you thinking on this aspect of motivation might be: are you choosing to participate in things that are going to help you improve? Things like open gyms, extra practice time, weightlifting? And what could you be choosing to do that would help how you perform in sport? So getting more sleep, eating healthy. The other piece of motivation is how hard you work when you make that choice. If you choose to go to your volleyball practice instead of hanging out with friends, then how hard you work at volleyball practice is the second part of that motivation. Some of your teammates might not work hard during drills or practice times, while others will work their hardest no matter what they're doing. Some questions that can get you thinking about this part of your motivation might be: do I give my full effort in all drills or only some of them? And do I work hard when no one is watching me or only when my teammates and my coaches will see? Showing up in the right places is a great first step to your motivation. But once you show up, thinking about how you can put forth maximum effort allows you to elevate your motivation and your performance, gaining trust from your teammates and your coaches. While we just talked about the basics of motivation, it can help to have a more concrete framework to keep tabs and remain self-aware of how your own motivation might fluctuate during the season. One framework that's really helpful for athletes is what researchers call self-determination theory. This framework is so useful because it can help you understand your motivation within volleyball and in settings outside of volleyball as well. Self-determination theory highlights that there are two general types of motivation: intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic motivation means that your motivation comes from within you instead of factors that might be outside of you. If you're intrinsically motivated, you probably really love playing volleyball because you like competition or improving your skills. When you truly love your sport, you are more likely to put in that effort and enjoy what you're doing. On the other hand, extrinsic motivation is when you're driven to play volleyball because of things outside of you. For example, if you play mostly because your parents were players themselves, or you really like the jerseys your team is playing with, you could be extrinsically motivated. Extrinsic motivation can work in the short term, but those external things can sometimes become less helpful over the long term. Just think if you were playing for a reward, and once you get it, you might not be motivated anymore because your goal has been achieved. It's important to understand that your motivation changes constantly, and that you might be motivated by different things at any given time. For example, you might love competition and also be really excited to be playing in a tournament that's in a really cool location. Your goal shouldn't be to be intrinsically motivated all of the time, but instead it should be to think about how you can enhance your intrinsic motivation whenever possible. As research shows us, that's the best way to optimize our performance and well-being in sport. Whether you're motivated by intrinsic or extrinsic factors influences how you perform and how long you stick with an activity. Think about it like this. If you really like what you're doing and it makes you feel good, you'll probably play longer and work harder. If you're intrinsically motivated, you're also more likely to try new things, to be more creative, and keep working when challenges pop up in your sport. If you're more motivated by extrinsic things, like getting money for winning a tournament or hearing praise from your parents or coach, you might be highly motivated at that time, but it's unlikely that motivation will last a long time. Once you get those things, you either have to want to get them again or find some other outside factors that are going to motivate you for the next practice, game, or tournament. Being motivated by extrinsic things can also mean that you aren't paying attention to the fun that you can have in sport, and you might lose your love for playing. For this reason, it's helpful to consider your own current motivation for playing volleyball. We encourage you to write down your thoughts to the following questions. Do you feel like you currently enjoy your volleyball experience? If so, what is it that's fun about training and competition? How can you focus on the parts of volleyball that you really love when training gets difficult or you experience setbacks on the court? Are there tricks that you can use to remind yourself of those things? Are there certain times that you feel more intrinsically motivated or times when you feel more extrinsically motivated by the factors around you? In which case, what determines that? And how can you ensure that you balance the extrinsic motivations, like a desire to play at the collegiate level, with your love for the sport? A second part of self-determination theory that can help you think about your motivation is called basic needs theory. Basic needs theory says that individuals really try to achieve 3 basic needs in any context. And if they get those, they'll be more motivated to perform well. The 3 basic needs are autonomy, competence, and relatedness. The more you focus on these needs, the more likely you will continue to be intrinsically motivated as you play. Autonomy is the idea that you're in charge of your own decision-making. Now, autonomy doesn't mean you get to do whatever you want all the time. However, it does mean that you consistently have choice. Some ways that you can reinforce your autonomy on the court are to ask to lead warm-up routines or alter drills for your teammates. When you do this, you can provide input on what drills and exercises you feel that your team needs to be successful in the game, and then get some experience leading those activities for your team. You can talk to your coach about helping to develop game strategies that could work best with your team. This can provide a good challenge for you as a player because it forces you not just to think about maximizing your performance, but how to make the team better. Finally, remind yourself of your goals on the volleyball court and remind yourself that you're able to change those goals at any time as your motivations change. To think about this a bit more tangibly, consider the following questions. At what point in your practice, training, or gameplay do you have a say in the decision-making process? And when is the best time for you to talk to your coach about opportunities to shape practice and game strategy? Would this be easiest in a team meeting or one-on-one? Autonomy allows you to feel a sense of ownership over your volleyball experience, which can enhance your motivation by enhancing your feelings of control in both your training and your performance. Competence is the feeling that you get when you're good at your sport and can perform the tasks needed to be a successful player. Competence also means that you feel like you can improve your skills and are constantly working to get better. When you feel like you've mastered a new skill, maybe something like a jump serve, after many practices, you also feel like you can successfully perform the skill during competition. And we all want to go into competition feeling ready physically and mentally to perform. Some ways you can reinforce your competence on the court are to ask your coach for help in how to improve, especially if you're struggling to master a hard skill. Pay close attention to the feedback from your coach and consider how you can incorporate that into your training. Feedback is a great first step, but it ultimately comes down to practicing on your own time and putting in that extra effort to master the skill with that feedback. Another thing you can do is find time to get extra reps in on a skill that you're trying to master. If your coach has extra time, this might look like something of coming in on an off day or before or after practice to get some extra time with them present. If your coach might not have the time outside of practice, this might also look like spending time on your own practicing at home or grabbing a buddy. Asking your coach for drills that you can do on your own can be really helpful. Find ways to think about how you're improving instead of making comparisons to your teammates who might be older or more skilled than you. Comparing yourself to your own past performance can show that you're improving and reassure you of your competence on the court. Finally, use visualization when you can, and use film of volleyball to help your visualization skills. Visualization means trying to create an image in your mind of where you're completing a skill or trying something new. Oftentimes, looking at this on film can give you ideas to creatively visualize. Keep in mind that as an athlete, competence is something that you develop over time and not something that you ever really stop working on. There's no point where you'll fully master a skill, and thinking about how you can consistently improve will position you better in terms of your motivation across learning increasingly complex skills and strategies within the game, and moving to that next level of performance or playing with a new team. Finally, relatedness is the idea that you have connections with others in your sport environment. You can feel relatedness with your teammates, your coaches, or even your opponents if you see them at a large number of tournaments. Relatedness is high in a group when you're excited to see your teammates at practice and looking forward to hanging out with them outside of volleyball. Overall, your feelings of relatedness are high when you feel like you belong on your team and you feel like you're welcome to be yourself with both your teammates and your coaches. This belonging allows for you to build relationships with your peers and will help you experience challenging emotional situations or things that happen in sport that might be unexpected. Some ways that you can reinforce relatedness on the court are to get to know your teammates off the volleyball court. If you're playing for a club team, do you know where your teammates go to school? What they like outside of the sport? The more you know about them outside the sport, the more meaningful these relationships can be for both of you. Communicate openly and honestly with your teammates about expectations and preferences for communicating on the court. Communicate how you best function on the court and help one another build a culture of accountability and high performance. Create team bonding activities. Are there drills you can encourage coach to run that everyone enjoys on the court or needs to work together to succeed? Are there ways that you all can grab dinner or do a social outing like a movie night off the court? Volunteering ideas of these types of things where the whole team comes together can allow for time to build those relationships. And finally, engage with your teammates when you're traveling for competition. It's really easy to get sucked into looking at your phone, but these times are great for building connection and learning more about your teammates. Create phone-free times to interact with your teammates and grow closer. The closer you feel with your team and your coaches, the better you work with one another on the court, and the more you feel valued for what you bring as a player and a person. The more motivated you are through feeling connected to your team, the better you're going to feel moving through your volleyball career. So in conclusion, remember it's normal to have fluctuations in your motivation over time playing volleyball. You likely started playing the sport because you fell in love with it, But to go after ambitious goals, you'll be best served by considering what unique motivations you have and focusing on ways that you can enhance your feelings of autonomy, competence, and relatedness so you feel more motivated as you play.